Welcome to b0bst3r's Forestry V2 Tutorials on multi-farms. In this episode we're going to be looking at making different circuits and the different farm types, and hopefully we'll be having a look at some different farm automations. So within the farm you will notice that there is an empty socket, and this empty socket lets you configure the farm to whatever type of farm that you like. What Sengir has actually done is he's made it so each side can be a completely different farm. So you could, for say, have wheat in the west side. You could have netherwort in the top. You could have potatoes in the south side, and you could have a bog farm at the east side. And the way to configure these is to make a circuit board to fit in that middle slot there. Now these circuit boards, there are 4 different types of circuit board, and there is the basic one, an enhanced one, a refined one, and an intricate circuit board. Although you can use all 4 of these circuit boards on a farm, the one that you actually want is the intricate one. Now the reason I say this is because when you upgrade a circuit board with different electron tubes, the basic one can only fit 1 electron tube in it, the enhanced can only fit 2, the refined fits 3, and the intricate fits 4. And because we need to specify 4 different farm types, you need the intricate one. To craft the intricate circuit board, you simply put a 1 bronze ingot, 3 iron ingots in a carpenter. Oh, sorry, this is the soldering iron. To craft the circuit board, simply put redstone up each side and gold ingots in the middle, along with water, and that will give you a intricate circuit board, one of these. To be able to use that circuit board, you need to craft a soldering iron, and the soldering iron is a bronze ingot and 3 iron ingots, again in a carpenter and again with water, and this machine again needs power. So if I just turn the power is actually on for this, I just need to give it some output. Okay, so powered carpenter makes the soldering iron, and then same for the circuit board. So redstone, gold, redstone, put the items for the build in the bottom here, and that makes your intricate circuit board, like so. And then the electron tubes are made in a thermionic fabricator. Now there are lots of different types of electron tubes, a lot more than what I've got here. Basically what they are is whatever type they are. So that one's an iron, so you'd use iron ingots in that formation, what I call an upside down T, with 2 redstone here and here. There are bronze ones, so you use bronze ingots, tin, use tin ingots, copper, use copper ingots. There are some rather weird ones that you might wonder what the actual recipe is. A blazing electron tube is blaze powder and then redstone. That gives you a blazing electron tubes, and you can actually use tin up here instead of glass or bronze. There are very different types up here, so yeah, watch for those. Okay, and again that needs to be powered. Right, so to configure a farm, you simply take your soldering iron and right click. Now people that have upgraded electric engines in the past will know this, and the first thing it does come up with is electric engine. You have left and right arrow keys, and if you cycle this through, you'll see first changes to managed farms and then changes to manual farms. The difference between managed and manual Well, there are only certain types of farm which can be manual ones. We'll go into those later. The managed ones, basically the farm does everything for you. You just feed it the resources, the dirt and the seeds, and it will plant the dirt and then it will plant the seeds. In manual farms, you'll find more often than not you have to lay the dirt, you have to plant the plants, and then it takes over after you've done that step. So to start with, we're going to do a managed farm. Now what I'm going to do here is just show you which each one of these corresponds to on a farm. Okay, so the top one there is the north side. Now when I say the north side, if you look at the farm, that's this top one up here. And what that equates to on a farm, we come up here and I can show you. Okay, so the brick here is the north side. And how you know you're facing north? Well, there's two ways you can do that. You can look on the map and see which way you're facing. So in this sense, I'm actually facing north. Slightly easier way to tell which way you're facing is to press the F3 key, and you'll see just here it tells you the direction that you're facing. So if you watch that while I turn around, you'll see that that changes to west and then south and then east and then back to north again. So that's the north farm. Now you'll notice that the sizes here are probably not what you was expecting. I certainly wasn't when I first looked at this. I was expecting kind of equal sides, equal sections, but that's not the way it works. So that brick there is the north farm. Obviously this nether brick down here is the south. The stone block over here is the east, and the sandstone over here is the west. Now you might be thinking, well, what on earth can I plant in something that small and get a decent amount of crop out of? Well, you can if you think about it. I mean, these farms are basically made so things like netherwort you could plant in a small area. You don't use a lot of it, and it grows really, really fast. So use the small farms for something that you don't need a lot of. What I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to set this up so the north farm is netherwort, the south farm, which is this area here, is potatoes, the west farm is wheat, and the east farm is bog. Okay, so let's go back down and we'll do that. So to create that type of farm, right click your soldering iron. We're going to create a managed farm, so we want that option there. And let's see, so for the north side we said we were going to make a netherwort. Now the netherwort, or the infernal farm, is a blazing tube. So we take our blazing electron tube and insert one in there, and it tells you there that's the infernal farm, which is the netherrack. For our south farm, which is next in the list, we're going to create a potato one, which is a vegetable farm, and that's an iron electron tube. And again there for confirmation that that's the correct one. The next one after that is the west side. So for the west farm we're going to make wheat, and for the wheat we're going to need a crop farm, which is a bronze electron tube, and then for the east side we need a bog, and the peat bog is a tin electron tube. Now don't worry about all these different electron tubes and all the different farms. If you go on the Forestry Wiki, there's a whole list of them. It's quite long. Once you've got your farm set up and you're happy that they're right, your managed system at the top is right, simply take one intricate circuit board and drop it into that top slot just there. And then if everything works out, you'll have a circuit board like that, which basically tells you on it all the different farm types that you're going to make. Okay? Right, after you've done that, simply lay your farm out, We'll skip this bit and come back after I've just built this middle bit. Okay, so we've made our farm, 2 underground, like we did in episode 1, and then 1 on ground level and 1 above. Okay, so there's our farm. And if we take that chip that we made earlier and simply drop it into the middle slot there, you'll notice that our farms change to the relevant sides that we set them up as. So we've got nether wart in our north side, we've got potatoes or veg, which can be anything really related to veg. It's usually just carrots or potatoes. In our south area, wheat in the west, and bog in our east. Now, if you set this up wrong, and this is something that's currently not on the Forestry wiki, you can get that chip out without actually smashing all this farm up. Just take your soldering iron and drop it on that chip, and you'll notice the chip comes out and it defaults back to the tree farm. So put that back in again because we don't want to take it out. I thought I'd just show you that. Okay, so now what we need to do is hook up the water and give it some power, and I'm going to do exactly the same as I've done on all the other farms. And that's our water coming in, and it's powered and ready to go. Right, so again, if you watched the episode 1 questions and answers, I told you about this little fertilizer button here, in that it will always come up. Your farm won't do anything until you put some fertilizer in, so let's give it some fertilizer. Right, and all we need to do now is to feed it the different block types and feed it some seeds and wheat. Seeds and wheat, same thing. So now all we need is some nether wart. Let's kick that off. Again, that's our big farm, so we've got a couple of stacks. We need some seeds for the wheat, and that's the big side as well, and some vegetables for our veg farm. 64 should do. So couple of another farm, couple of wheat, potatoes, and of course the peat bog doesn't actually require any resources in here at all. Now, the way to maintain your wheat and nether wart or whatever farms you have put in here, just all you've got to do is make sure you've got some left over after the farm has fully put up the farms. Right, so you can see here we've got nether wart's already planted. Potatoes is almost there. It's currently planting the wheat, and the bog earth is pretty much done. Now, you'll probably think, wow, do I really need all that water? And the answer is, no you don't. Okay, now I've tried this out and it works quite well. You can fill in these blank ones at the ends, and you can take out quite a lot of these blocks with water. It may even work with just one, but I've had that working quite happily with just a couple of water in that side. The same goes for your vegetable farms. You don't need all this water in here. Oops, that's the wrong one. Oh crap. Let's put some. It's filled it back with dirt anyway, so put dirt in there too. And when they turn, they will get planted. And the same goes for your wheat farm. Okay, you don't need all this. They don't need to be attached to direct to water blocks anymore. You can actually knock this down quite happily and just have a couple in there, and that should work quite nicely. These will eventually turn and they will eventually get planted. There you go, that's just turned, and then the farm's planted the potatoes, and the same will happen with the wheat. Okay, so just make sure you leave one at least. If your dirt starts turning back, then obviously you're going to need to make another one. But you certainly do not need all these holes that the initial farm set up. Right, so like I said, once your farm's set up, make sure you have at least the correct quantities of whatever materials you need in each side. Okay, that's quite nice. That 1 potato, 2 netherwort. No, we probably don't need 2 netherwort. 2 seeds, yep, that'll fill up nicely. And we've got a blank slot for whatever takes over first, probably going to be netherwort. Okay, so that's that farm pretty much set up, and that's the beauty of these new forestry farms. You've now got a fully managed quadruple type farm that will happily grow, harvest, reap whatever you plant in it. You can do this with trees, you can do it with cactus, sugar canes, cocos. There are literally lots and lots of different types of farms. Right, so next what we need to do is we need to set up automating the output and sorting out how we maintain these percentages of stacks that are inside the farm to keep each segment running. With red power that's fairly easy to do. I haven't actually got any hatches on here yet, so let's break that and put a farm hatch in this corner. Just wait a sec for that to come back. Now for output, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set some barrels up just here. Come on, one of these, here we are. Now we want one for the netherwort, one for the potatoes, one for the peat, one for the dirt from the peat bog, and one for seeds, and one for wheat. So if we take those, run some pneumatic tubing across the top, and then bring that over here, and on the end stick our little red power relay. And these will fill up with whatever comes out first. And if you do it that way rather than put that tube in the middle, because if you put it in the middle it'll fill the first one up and then the second one will split and go both ways, because that's how red power tubing works. So if you connect this tube into the end of your row of barrels, they will fill up in order and you won't get multiple items going in different barrels. Now, so far as getting or maintaining this dirt, soul sand and bog earth, let's just knock this wall out a little bit more. Simply because these farms do not actually use the soul sand. That soul sand, once it's laid, that's it, it's fixed there. It's not dug up. Same with the wheat farm and the dirt. That dirt does not get dug up when the wheat gets harvested. And same with the crops, with your vegetables, the potatoes and carrots. So we don't actually need to store any dirt in here. We don't need to store any soul sand in here for this particular farm type. Okay, you can see our netherwort's actually filling back up here, so make sure that you have at least however many stacks you want to maintain in here for your farms, because the first thing the farm does when it harvests, it puts any of the seed types, or in this case with netherwort and potatoes, the actual veg, back into the farm. So you don't actually need to control the input of this at all. Once your farm's set up and you've got some of this in here, that's it. Just let it run. It'll be fine. The empty one, obviously, it's up to you what you do with that, whether you split your seeds and put another seed in there if you really wanted to, or you made another netherwort. It doesn't really matter. You can make another potato, or if you've got two vegetable farms and you had carrots and potatoes, then obviously you could split those up as well. But there's no real need to worry about this section. The farm will automatically top this up when it harvests the crops. So the only in this combination of farm here, the only thing we've got to worry about is supplying bog earth for our peat farm. I'm going to make an orchard. So remember what we did last time with making circuit boards, you need your soldering iron, you need an intricate circuit board. So you right click your soldering iron. Now an orchard is a manual farm, it's not a managed farm. So for this one we need copper electron tubes, and you'll notice that it says orchard. Okay, and then drop your chip into the top and we have a manual orchard farm. I'm going to set this up, we'll set it up here. So we take that chip and drop it into there, and you'll notice it changes to cherries. Doesn't really matter. We'll take those out. Now, so far as laying the dirt down here, you have to. Okay, so we need to take dirt, and you have to lay this out. So on top of the blocks. So I'll come back in a minute when I've done this. Okay, so once we've laid our dirt, just to show you I've done all of it, it's just turned into grass, as it naturally would. The wiki tells you that the farm will plant any saplings that you put in. And as you can see there, I've just put saplings in, and if we wait, it won't. It won't actually plant any saplings at all. You have to plant the trees. Okay, you've seen how long they've been, and if I put half of these in there again, nothing gets planted. It's all down to you to plant your trees. Now, for obvious reasons, you need the foliage to stay on the trees. Now, you can't plant trees like this and expect them all to grow to a relatively good size. But size is not something that matters for an orchard, not size of your tree. So what we can do here is just plant trees and then bone meal them. As you can see, we've got a fair size foliage on these trees, and then just plant some more at random places, so you've got your always going to happen. You can create them quite dense, so you get the idea anyway. Just basically plant your trees on here, and then if you don't want to wait for them to grow, which they probably won't anyway because they're too close together to the other trees, just get some bone meal and slap some bone meal on them. Now, because obviously the radius of this farm is actually a little bit bigger, you can actually plant trees outside of the farm and the apples will still get picked, I'm pretty sure. Right, and I've just realised I've made an orchard, and the orchard doesn't have any input, and the only thing it outputs is apples. So I can't really show you on here the Buildcraft way of maintaining items in and out. So we'll leave that to grow to harvest apples. We'll leave it like that, and I'll show you on. I'll just set another farm up just here, and then I'll be right back. And we'll just go over the circuit board information again. So there are 4 different circuit boards, basic, enhanced, refined and intricate. The basic can hold 1 electron tube, enhanced can hold 2, refined can hold 3, intricate can hold 4. Typically the basic and enhanced and refined circuits are for the electrical engine upgrades, but you can fit them to farms if you really wanted to. I'm not quite sure why you would only want to specify 1 side or 2 sides or 3 and not all 4, but you can if you want, they are there. And as you can see there down the bottom, we've got all the different farm types that you can make with the different electron tubes. Now, we need a farm that we've got lots of input and output from, so I can show you all this ins and outs. So let's go for a managed farm. We'll go for an arboretum up one side. No, we'll not put that on the north. We'll put that on the west side. So we want iron, although that's only one input, isn't it really? So, because the dirt once it's planted doesn't actually do anything. What farms have we got besides trees that actually replace the flooring? Let's go for a mushroom farm on the east side. That plants arboretum and that plants mycelium and replace it with dirt and then replants it again. Although there's a little bug with that in a minute, but let's have our arboretum on two sides. Again, just drop your chip in the top, and there we have it. So, oops, left that big hole there. So we simply drop chip in there. So there we have our arboretum. There's going to be basically all this side here, and our vegetable for the north, and our mushroom is going to be all that side there. Right, so let's get this going. First of all, we need dirt. Pretty much for all these three sides here. We've got no water. Did I not set the water up? Or I put the wrong tesseract in. I didn't put a valve there, I put a hatch. Ah, that would be why. That's better. So, interesting. We've got an apple already. Where did that come from? We could possibly have got an apple. Must have pinched it off that farm. So that goes to show you that it's quite possible that it's got quite a lot bigger working radius than what you might think. Ah, that's interesting. Our fence has been cleared, so it does actually clear land as well. Again, with these water holes, just fill them in. Make sure you've got at least one. It's only a small farm, this one, so one should suffice. And our trees are getting planted. Put any saplings in yet? Pinching them off of these? Oh, well, off of that one more than likely. We need some mycelium for the mushroom. Oops, that's what happened to our fence. Oh, that's interesting. In fact, it gave us the fence back. Okay, so I didn't know about that actually. So that basically removed the fence. I wonder whether that's because it was higher and it would have stopped growth to a lot of different farms. So there you see our mycelium being planted and the mushrooms on top. So let's get cracking with the ins and outputs of this because it's starting to gather resources already.